What can you say to someone who has always been one of the most essential parts of your world? Someone who took you by the hand when you were little and helped to show you the way. What do you say to someone who stood by to help you grow, providing love and support, so you could become the person that you are today? What can you say to let her know that she's the best there is, and that you've hoped you've inherited some of her wisdom and strength? What words would you say if you ever get the chance? Maybe you would just say, "I love you." And you already know she understands. Good morning. My name is Jim Storch of Reflections Funeral Services. On behalf of the family, I thank everyone for being here this morning today to honor and pay tribute to Mary. Today, remember in full and to celebrate the beauty and strength of all that Mary was. Let us bow our heads in a word of prayer, please. Holy God of unfailing love, the hearts of the bereaved may fail, but you are their strength and their portion. Show the wonder of your great love to family and friends of Mary. Draw them together in love that they may be able to stand together as one and celebrate the legacy of their loved one. May they sense the safety that only you can bring. God, establish them in the love of your Son Jesus and shine on them. Open their spiritual eyes that they can see your work in everything. In Jesus' name, I believe and pray. Amen. Today, I am officiating on behalf of Candice Anderson, and as such, be speaking from her perspective. I met Mary a few years ago as Bethany and Sean began their relationship. She became Grandma Mary to me in the blink of an eye, and I automatically loved her. She had such a feisty personality. I admired her strength, forwardness, and honesty and kindness. Within the first hour of meeting her, I was duly informed that I would be the one responsible for officiating her funeral, and I must ensure the serving of shrimp and champagne. But, due to circumstances with where I'm at my pregnancy, or was pregnant, I was unable to attend today's service. But please, my love and my thoughts are with all of you today. It is said that a woman is a success when she has lived well, laughed often, loved much, who has gained the respect of men and women, and the love of children, who has filled her niche and accomplished her tasks, who leaves the world better than she found it, and who looked for the best in others. And she gave the very best she had. This adaptation of the poet Ralph Waldo Emerson's are enlightening words that are a fitting description of Mary's life. I had the opportunity of talking with her family, and they shared their memories that were everlasting in their minds. It is plain to see that the quintessential loving connection of family resonates from you. A circle of family, love, tradition, history, and togetherness, united to celebrate Mary and her legacy. The importance of the role of the mother and the wife can never be underestimated. A family can be made or unmade in this position. She had a great mental power and strength, and her words always held importance. She loved socializing and had a wonderful group of friends. She was constantly in contact with her children and grandchildren, and had such a pride in her family. They were her joy, and it was so gratifying to see her individuals accomplishments. She had an inner strength that was admirable. She endured the loss of her husband Tony, and later significant other Jim. She held her head high though, and still found the best in every day. She had a very positive perspective. I'd like to now welcome forward Kelli to provide us with a tribute of her life.
Our parents give us life. Our grandparents give us a sense of who we are and where we come from. Maria Danilkowicz, better known to us as Mary, was born June 15, 1931 in Jano, Poland, to Bill and Dorothy. In 1936, they welcomed her sister Nina, and later, after they arrived in Canada, Olga completed their family. They farmed near Spruce Lake and then settled in Meadow Lake, Saskatchewan. This was the first of many moves for Mary. Mary and Anatole, better known as Tony, were neighbors who fell in love and were married June 14, 1950. In 1951, Mary Jean was born, and 3.5 years later, Janice was born, both in Paradise Hill. Mary was busy raising the girls and packing up houses numerous times, while Tony transferred locations often with Beaver Lumber and Revelstoke. Tony came home again one day to tell Mary that they were moving once again. Mary was not impressed by this news, and Tony's response was, "You'll be fine." Mary went to bed without knowing the next destination, but was excited the next morning when she found out it was Vermilion, Alberta, a town she was familiar with, as my mom and dad were already farming and settled there. Grandpa and Grandma lived in a small old company house on Main Street and later built their dream home on Park Drive. Sadly, Grandma lost Grandpa Tony suddenly in 1987. She was strong and still confident to know who she was on her own. Grandma had a green thumb and a love for cooking, although Grandpa was close in her heart and a part of conversations right until the day she passed. She was young, attractive, and social. She met Jim Barr, who became a special friend and someone she enjoyed making meals with, traveling, and entertaining their two families together. Their homemade fresh dill bread was one of our favorites. The Barr family welcomed Grandma with open arms and remained in contact even after Jim had passed away. Grandma Mary, you brought so much happiness into the lives of so many, and in so many different ways. You were our favorite babysitter, our happy hour partner, our tech-savvy grandma, a fashionista, our annual parade host, a member of the Manor Golden Girls, and honestly, you did it all with a huge smile and a fabulous sarcastic sense of humor. Grandma was an enthusiastic babysitter. On visits to Ontario and BC to see Uncle Buck and Auntie Jan, she enjoyed spending time with Nicole, Joanne, and Samantha. She looked after both Kim and Sean for extended periods when the youngest child was always left at home for trips to the U.S. Grandma Mary babysitting was a treat. That treat included, of course, all-you-can-eat pierogies and later bedtimes. As she was fondly known to some of the grandchildren, Grandma Smirnoff loved a good Caesar, a glass of wine, or a coffee with Baileys. It was so exciting for Grandma when she moved into the lodge and discovered Fridays were actually a scheduled happy hour. Even during her quarantine periods, she would have her happy hour Caesar delivered to her room. She would not turn down a visit to BP's for Wing Wednesday or a half rack of honey garlic ribs. And all the staff there honestly truly considered her family and called her Grandma Mary as well. She would also appreciate sweet treats and baking when Nicole and Greg would send goodies to Vermilion with Auntie Jan, or Mike baked one of his signature pies. 5 years ago, we got Grandma Mary an iPad, and she quickly became able to text and FaceTime. For those of us living away and even traveling, this was still so special to be able to keep in touch and see Grandma. She even had the opportunity to witness Samantha and Cody exchange vows, and she was so happy to be included in their special day. Grandma had a great wardrobe, a big wardrobe. Her sweaters were colorful, and her hair always looked perfect. Just 3 years ago, at Joanne and Scott's wedding, Grandma had no problem telling Kim that her white sweater did not go with her outfit. So Grandma graciously loaned her more modern and stylish white sweater she brought. I also recall getting ready for my grade 9 dance, and Grandma insisted I choose a sweater from her closet rather than the one that I had on. I am pretty sure that that sparkly leaf one that I chose landed me my first boyfriend. Grandma loved her soap operas. Her favorite was The Young and the Useless, as she called it. When the lodge dinner bell rang at the same time as the ending of the Y&R, dinner sometimes had to wait. Lori remembers asking well before she could read what was on TV, and Grandma said, "All My Children." For years, we thought that she just made that up, as she always said we were all her children. Grandma and her golden girls included Shirley, Jeanette, Susan, June, and Ruby. Shirley was such a dear friend to Grandma, and they would spend every evening together during the days at the manor and the lodge. Even when Grandma was quarantined in her room, Shirley would have a chair in the hallway to maintain the required social distancing for their visits. Monday nights were spent in front of Grandma's big screen, as Shirley and her would critique the Bachelorettes and discuss who they believed would get the final rose. Jeanette moved from the manor to Fort Saskatchewan, and Grandma definitely missed her. Grandma would hop in with me on a daily trip to the city and would visit Jeanette for a few hours while I ran some errands. Jeanette has always called and kept in touch with Grandma even after moving away. June didn't miss a 10 a.m. Tuesday morning coffee with a bag of asparagus in hand. Ruby was Grandma's personal hairstylist, and Sue and her husband Trevor would visit often with fresh glads or roses that they grew. Grandma Mary's body was getting tired these past couple weeks, but she continued to push herself to maintain her independence. Even on the weakest days, she would find the strength to push herself up for a meal period or a visit with family. Her background was working in the hospital, and she would always have us chuckling as she would offer her healthcare advice to the nurses and how hard she worked for such a little paycheck. As we say goodbye to Grandma Mary, it hit me how incredibly lucky we are as grandchildren to have had a grandma with us and as close and active part in our lives. She was so proud of each of us. Lori, myself, Kim, Nicole, Joanne, Sean, and Samantha. She claimed she had the most good-looking grandchildren. Kevin, honestly, how many times does she tell you that you are so handsome? It was definitely one of Grandma's wishes to have all of her grandchildren marry. And thankfully, Sean recently fulfilled that wish when Beth received the title as favorite granddaughter-in-law. Grandma also had the pleasure of knowing and spending time with 11 great-grandchildren. Matthew, Caleb, Megan, Eden, Taylor, Jesse, Jordan, Barrett, Peyton, Rachel, and Bowen. And she was so excited to receive the picture on her iPad when her newest grandson, Stetson, was born at the end of June. Grandma never hesitated to offer advice on raising the great-grandchildren. Whether it be bottle feeding or potty training, her answer was always, just bring them to me for a week and it will get done. We received her lung cancer diagnosis in March. Although we knew we had limited time to make more memories and to say goodbye, it was truly a blessing that we were able to honor Grandma's last birthday wish. With COVID distancing and lockdown at the lodge, Grandma just wanted to spend her birthday with family, with all of us. Her 89th birthday with us all in person or via FaceTime will always be a special memory. We knew that that would be the last birthday celebration with her. However, it didn't make it any easier. Grandma, you are so loved by all of us. We will continue to carry your memory in our hearts. Bryce and I truly treasure the extra time we were able to spend with you when we moved back to Vermilion. You were a part of our daily lives in so many ways. You were more than a grandma to me. You were my best friend. I am already lost without our special visits, your warm, tight hugs, and our daily multiple phone calls and text messages. Grandma Mary and I would usually go back and forth 2 to 3 times on the phone at the end of any conversation, claiming who loved each other more. I love you.
Okay. Not goodbye. Hey, it's not goodbye. I love you. I love you more.
Rest in peace, beautiful Grandma Mary. I love you more.
I got the call today. I didn't want to hear what sister had to say. I prayed, Lord, not today. We just had our Mother's Day call. I'm not sure I said all that I wanted to say. I thought there'd be another day. I had no plans for this. I think of all we'll miss, but I know just what you'd say. You'd hold me close and tell me that it's gonna be okay. You'd say, I'm still close, I'm not that far. Come on home to my backyard. I can't wait for you to see. Now your grandpa's holding me. Grandma, hold on tight, we're almost there. Keep us in your thoughts and prayers. And Grandma, please take one more call and watch over us all. We all remember growing up, time to spend with every one of us. You went out of your way, made us feel special every day. Now we must carry on and keep the family's memories strong of all you would do, and of course Grandpa too. I hope that we can live and give the way Grandma did. You all know what she'd say. She would hold you close and tell you that it's gonna be okay. She'd say, I'm still close, I'm not that far. Come on home to my backyard. I can't wait for you to see. Grandpa's dancing with me. Grandma, hold on tight, we're almost there. Keep us in your thoughts and prayers. And Grandma, please take one more call and watch over us all. I'm still close, I'm not that far. Come on home to my backyard. I can't wait for you to see. Grandpa's dancing with me. Grandma, hold on tight, we're almost there. Keep us in your thoughts and prayers. And Grandma, please take one more call. And Grandma, please take one more call. And Grandma, please take one watch over us all.
As a funeral director, conversations about death and dying come up more often than not. I've certainly had it posed to me before whether you want to know when you're going to pass away or not. On one hand, you'd have time to prepare. On the other hand, it might be better to go without having to think about it for so long. The knowledge has a way of casting a dark shadow over everything. It would be a tough call, whether you'd want to know or not. As Kelli alluded to in Grandma Mary's circumstance, we knew her days were numbered with her unfortunate diagnosis this year, and it was difficult watching her health dwindle away. But I know that we are all thankful for the many years that we had with her previous to this. And when it comes to death and the conversations surrounding it, truth be told, we all know the real issue is when, not if. Human mortality is 100%. Some of us just act like we're going to be the exception. Hollywood star Woody Allen spoke for a lot of people when he said, "It's not that I'm afraid to die, I just don't want to be there when it happens." I was doing fine, Kelli, till that song came up. Beautiful song, thank you. By remembering death, you also remember that life is valuable, and every action is significant. Being aware of death, you can also become aware of yourself and live an authentic life. A life you really want to live, and not one controlled by fear. The purpose of my message here is, death is easy. Our battle is over, and we go to be with those who have left before us. It is the ones who are left behind, who now have to continue their journey without you and find who they are. Life is the difficult portion, and one that is worthwhile. Take today as an opportunity to evaluate how you can grow from the experiences that Mary has left you with. How can you make more of each day and surround yourself with loved family and friends? We never know when our time will come. How can we make the best of the time that we do have? These are questions that only you can answer, but a premise upon which to start by living in love and in light. To be kind to others and take time to enjoy our surroundings. Trying to put aside our daily stresses and focus on the joy and the beauty of life that each day has to offer. We will now proceed with the interment of the cremated remains of Mary. But let us remind ourselves that the dead do not reside in an urn or a grave, but in the hearts and the minds of the living. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind always be at your back. May the sun shine upon your face, and rain fall softly upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hands.